We've all heard about the too good to be true side hustles where you can make great money and do nothing and never even get out of bed. So I decided to see if I could make real money from a brand new side hustle in a short amount of time, doing as little as possible and only doing things that I wanted to do. In this video, I'm going to explain what I did and how I did it. Who am I? I'm Gregg. I'm a business owner turned consultant. I help you find success with your side hustles and your businesses. I love helping you succeed. That is what I do. You can schedule time with me to talk about your side hustle, your business. I will gladly help you. I've left a link in the description where you can put your time on my calendar and we'll meet and go over whatever it is that you need. Now, let's get into today's content. Here is what I did. I kept hearing about freelance and gig platforms where you could make great money on these platforms. But I really didn't believe it was possible, and I didn't believe the stories I was hearing. So I wanted to try for myself and see if this was realistic. I was told that you didn't even need experience, which I thought was crazy. I figured you at least had to have a lot of experience. I was told all you needed to do was register and the money would just pour in. Just an endless flow of money. Still, yeah, not likely. I didn't believe it. So my criteria for this project was to do things that I had limited experience with. I wanted to work exclusively from home, and I wanted to do this in my free time. And the final thing is, I didn't want to have to find my own customers or do any type of sales. Now, honestly, to me, this seemed like a tall enough order. But hey, if what I was hearing about these gig platforms is true, this should work. I shouldn't have to try and find my own customers. I shouldn't need a lot of experience. And I can work in my free time. So how did it go? Here's how it went. So at first, I heard about two platforms that kind of met my criteria. The two platforms that I looked at were Upwork and Fiverr. These are both gig platforms. Apparently, you just post gigs on them and make magic money. So I thought, all right, I'll put my limited experience gigs here and see what happens. So I started by looking at gigs that people were already offering on these platforms. I wanted to see the possibilities and what they did. I noticed right away that you can offer just about anything, regardless of how crazy it seemed. Yes, I even found somebody who would call someone for you and talk in a Kermit the Frog voice. That was a real gig somebody was offering, and I'm guessing they're making money doing it. So I found the wildly absurd to the more realistic gigs on the platform. I found things that involved technology. I found things that involved research. I found lots of different things. So regardless of what my skills may or may not be and my experience levels, there were some gig possibilities that I was starting to see surface. So I started to look at gigs people were offering that I thought were interesting and that I thought I might be able to pull off or that I might be able to do. So I did this by going to their buyer side and looking through it as if I was looking to purchase a gig from somebody. And at first I started just browsing different things using the browse function. Then I decided to type in the search bar just random words and see what kind of gigs popped up. Now I started to formulate some ideas on possibilities, so I started to type more specific things in that search bar to see what would surface. So I looked through a lot of different gigs and really found some interesting stuff that I thought I might have enough skill to try. So the next thing I did was I made a list of the interesting ideas that I came up with from looking through all of these different gig possibilities. Now my interesting ideas were things that I thought I could do that I didn't necessarily have a lot of experience with, but I thought I might be able to pull it off. So that was the first thing. Now I took that list and narrowed it down to 3 things that I was going to try. Then with those 3 things, I looked for gigs that other people were offering that were similar in style or some kind of similarity between their gigs and the gigs that I wanted to offer. and I read through their profile and their description to understand how they put it together. What I looked for here to try and verify whether or not these gigs were worthwhile was I looked for people who had 4.9 stars or better, and I looked for people who had a decent amount of reviews. If they didn't have a good star rating and didn't have a decent amount of reviews, I wasn't sure that this was actually a gig worthwhile. So at that point, I'd peel some off my list and add other ones in to get to the 3 that I would do. Now that I found some people offering what looked like viable gigs to me, I really read through those descriptions in more detail, really understanding how they put their gig together. Then I made a gig. And I followed some of the styling and ideas that I learned from reading the other gigs that were similar to the gig that I wanted to offer. I figured if they had success, if I made mine similar to theirs in style and in feel, I figured it should work for me as well. Now I used these first 3 gigs to fish around to see what would generate interest and what wouldn't. If a gig was getting no results, I simply deleted it and tried another gig. Some of the gigs that I tried were, I did record voiceovers for commercials, read audiobooks. I have a microphone, so I figured those 2 things might be something I could try. They just required me to sit here and read or talk. Well, I can do that, I think. The next one that I tried was design logos. I have design software. I could design some basic logos, I think. I tried recording talking head videos. Sit here and talk to the camera. Talking head videos. I tried consulting services, and I tried website services. There are so many different things that I could try. I could build spreadsheets. I could build websites. I could research stuff. I could do phone calling, apparently. I could call somebody in a Kermit the Frog voice if I knew how to talk in a Kermit the Frog voice, which I don't, so that wouldn't have been a good gig for me. So there really are so many different things that I could have tried, and the key was to represent myself properly in the description as far as my skill level. I was trying things that I had little to no experience with, so I made sure that my description didn't say, I'm an expert in all of these things. No, I'm going to do a basic version of this or a basic version of that or something of that nature, where I made sure that I was selling the gig or offering the gig at my skill level and not misrepresenting myself. So I tried this for 3 months. I started it in April, and it took about 2 weeks for me to receive my first contact. Somebody sent me a message asking if I could do something for them. I messaged them a little bit, and ultimately they didn't buy anything. The second person who reached out did buy, so now I had my first sale. And that was very encouraging. But remember, it took 2 weeks to get here. 2 weeks for the first one, which was a no, and then about another 2 days after that, the second person reached out, but they did buy. Now it really started to pick up some speed for me. I got these gigs going, I got them finished, I presented them to the customers, they rated me very well, and the snowball really started to take off at this point. People really started to reach out pretty much daily, and they bought gigs pretty consistently. In April, the first month, I made about $400 on the platform. Now, at the end of April, I deleted some gigs that people didn't reach out to me with, and I made some new gigs. Wanted to see what would happen. All right, so I had some gigs that weren't performing for whatever reason. I could go back and try them another day. Right now, I just wanted to try and make money. My result for May was I made $894 in May. Month 2, I had made $894. At the end of May, I again deleted gigs that I thought weren't performing and tried new ones. Really, at this point, I deleted 1 gig and tried 1 new one. In June, I made $1,501. And that's all from working from home in my spare time. And that's money that actually went deposited to me. That's money after the seller fees are involved with using the platforms. All the money I made was on Fiverr. On Upwork, only 3 people had reached out to me and no one bought at all. So working with Fiverr, they charge 20% of your gig fee. That's how they work. This seemed expensive to me at first until I tried it out. They brought customers to me. they processed the payments, they kept 20%, and then after they kept their 20%, in June they deposited $1,501 to my bank account. And really, all I had to do was very little. They did the heavy work of finding me customers, charging the customers, and giving me a platform to submit work to my customers. Overall, I found this to be an easy way to make money without leaving home. I really felt like this was not a burden at all, and it was pretty simple to do. I left a link in the description to Fiverr in case you want to try it out. I highly suggest using that link. Go to Fiverr, look around, build a gig, and see if you can make some money there. And I would appreciate it if you used my link because I think they'll give me some kind of commission. I'm not sure. Just like me, you might be surprised at how much you could make and how easy it is. And so far for the month of July, I am on track to earn more than I made in June. So it looks like the Fiverr platform is going to keep growing for me for a while. So I'm going to keep trying it out, doing some gigs in my free time, and see how much extra money I can make in my free time.